so you can see it. Instant bite all the way down. Beautiful. Like every knife I've ever received from Survive. Incredibly sharp right out of the box. Bites in right away. Just going through. Apple. This is not a kitchen knife. I'm just using it to show you some initial cutting before we go into the harder stuff. Summer sausage. Alright, so after the cutting that I did with the GSO 4.1 with the new finish, show you it's still the focus, still the same finish. I left the knife in its sheath in my basement deliberately. My basement's pretty humid, and right now we've had some pretty hot and humid weather here. So I did wipe it off after I did that cutting, and then I put it in its sheath and left it in my basement for about 2 days. So I want you to see, there it is. You can still see the finish. You can see the detailing of it, the peened finish, but there's some stuff there. You come down here, look at that. Do you see that? So, just to give people consideration, that CPM-3V still, it is not stainless. And even with this new finish, and the new heat treat, that's supposed to grant some corrosion resistance to the edge, it is not stainless. It can still corrode. It's the same piece, yeah. Light, but there you go. Single ply cardboard. Not that that matters. Oh man, what a breeze. I measured the thickness behind the edge on this knife to be about 21 thousandths, 20 to 21 thousandths. I'm sure it varies a little bit as you go up the edge. A lot of other knives are sharpened more like 30 thousandths, 35 thousandths for knives that are this design. This time I'm going to go along the flutes instead of across them. Now just to give you some perspective, this is the new Gerber Strong Arm, which is a pretty nice knife actually, especially for 50 bucks. It comes with a great sheath, it's very comfortable in the hand. This one also has a nicely finished edge. And it came very sharp from the factory at 15 degrees per side, very well polished on that edge. But the thickness of this edge is about 35-40 thou. Alright, behind that shoulder, so you can see just how crazy thick that is. And if you compare that to the GSO, which is around 20, I mean, this is almost half the thickness, but still a very strong, very capable knife. This one probably won't be as strong for punching through steel cans and prying open doorways. You might end up, doing bad things to your edge with that versus this one. But at the same time, this is going to be a lot more efficient of a cutter, carver, anything else that you need, normal cutting tasks that don't involve that kind of heavy abuse. Anyway, this is a very old, tough garden hose. Bit of poly rope. You can see it. One thing about this is I was worried when the guy mentioned that the spine was going to be a little bit sharper on these, that it would hurt your thumb barehanded, putting pressure on these this jimping here, but it's really not that bad. It's not as bad as, say, the SK4, which has a much, much sharper spine. This one's not too bad at all on my thumb. I'll test it in a little while on scraping some wood and also scraping a ferro rod. Alright, here's some old crappy bits of carpet. Still got some glue and ply stuck to the back of it. Got a good couple cuts there, just didn't get them all the way through. My fault. Even at 21 thou thick, this stuff is really tough to cut through. Show you the back of this. Where's the carpet? See that? That's plywood that's glued on there. And you can see how stuck it is on there. Take a look at that edge. Kind of messy now, but the edge itself, I mean, other than being messy, we'll see if there's a couple rolls in here. Let me get it cleaned up and we'll test it on the paper again. Alright. After that carpet cutting through that glue and thick stuff, the apex has been removed. So now the edge will no longer shave, will no longer cut phone book paper, as I'll show. So you can see it. You can kind of get it to get in there, but it doesn't really want to catch. It's more do it again. You can see it's not catching right away. DMT. This is the extra fine. This is the green. I think it's a 1200 grit. 9 micron or something like that. And just go ahead and sweep this across here a few times and see if we can't give us back our edge. That was it. Now that we've given it back its edge, look at that, instant bite. Now that we've given it back its edge, let's lose it again. Alright. This is seasoned oak, so it's really hard to plane down nice little curls like this. You're better off using something a little bit softer, but it certainly works. Got some white pine with the spine. See if we can get some shavings with that. You know, using the jimping, you can get a little bit, but it's really not that sharp, so it doesn't take off a lot. If you need something really soft and fine, you can do it, but on hard seasoned wood, it's too much of a pain. Let's do a little batoning. There we go. Made it through. Let's make some curls. This is seasoned white pine. Alright, this is an old wheelbarrow tire. You can still feel the apex, but it's rounded over just enough that it won't bite into the paper. It's reflecting light in a bunch of places, but that's about it. Piece of cake. See? Alright. We've been in a drought, so here I am at our pond, which is awfully low. Should be up to there right now, but the water is way over there. But it gives me an opportunity. There's a lot of cattails that have been growing. So let's see about removing some of those roots, alright? So most of these, you just grab the base and they want to tear off right at the base there. But I want the roots out. And you can kind of see it start to pull up. but it's not coming quite. So, normally you do this with a shovel, but since this is what we got here and we're trying to test the finish on this, I'm just going to go in and cut around. And this is very sandy muck, so it should be pretty rough on this edge finish. So we'll see how it looks at the end. Let's take its neighbor right here. One right here that I'm working with. Where is he? Yep. Alright. This black locust. It's thorny and I don't want it growing quite so close to my house. Once again, this is something you'd normally use a hoe for, but since we're just trying to beat the finish on this, we'll put the GSO to it. Alright, using the GSO for doing some major weeding. Alright, after all that, here's a puddle of water to rinse off the knife in. Here's a it's still there. We got some dark freckles there. Got some more muck I got to clean up, but for the most part, no, all that sap washed right off. Came off in the dirt. So look at what it looks like from back here. It's pretty much unused. Not bad. Let's try out this spine. This is what it looks like after a whole bunch of that. Alright, let's clean it up. You can see that all that sparking pretty much wiped right off. The spine, you can still see some of it. This thing will focus on it, but that's mostly what you get. Yes, you are.